Dan, I wanted to ask about, we've spoken about programmatic TV for many years. Now with CTV, it seems to be a growing force. Tell us from your point of view as one of the major publishers, programmers, how has programmatic matured and what are the implications for your business and the industry?
Absolutely. It's a great question. I think programmatic has matured exponentially, right? Understanding the CTV space, the behaviors of the ad pods and the ad calls. It's come a long way from short form and display. And I think we're really only at the beginning of what's possible, ushering in more programmatic demand, making sense of, who is buying what technology they're using to transact with us. We continue to see a growing number of brands that have interacted with us directly, now making programmatic a part of that strategy and a bigger piece of the way that they want to do, upfront and committed business with us throughout the year. So it's been exciting, and it's nice to see the technology really keep up with the eyeballs and the way we've seen our audience move in the last 3 years. It's been challenging to get the technology to the point that it is now, but we're excited with where we are. We're excited about what we can do and the way we deliver for our clients.
So ad serving, and header bidding, it's not as simple as it seems for digital. It's a lot more complicated. And, tell us sort of where that stands and kind of some challenges that might exist in those sectors.
Yeah, header bidding is a challenging piece of the business, one that I actually don't have much experience with. It started heavy on the display side. I think what we're looking to do is how do you make a sequential call out to the different programmatic partners that we have, the different exchanges that we may partner with, as we think about what is the best inventory management mechanism to yield the best result for our clients, but also yield the best revenue on that per stream, per break basis for Fox. So there's a lot of demand that exists directly in our ad server. There's a growing amount of demand that exists in these different programmatic platforms. And there really is no perfect way to kind of unify the yield and make those ad serving decisions holistically today. And, I think some of the early header opportunities we've seen in connected television is going to give sellers more tools to make better ad serving decisions with.
So what does the future of the ad break look like in OTT? It's certainly different than linear. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, it's the opportunity for it to be different is there. I think that's a key piece here, Andy, is we have moved, linear style breaks and, 4 30 seconds or a couple of 15s and a couple of 30s and really mirrored what was historically done in linear and supported that same strategy. I think to a certain extent with the live events we have, you're never going to know when a timeout is going to get called. Games are going to break. There are going to be natural spots where you want to insert a traditional commercial break in the linear sense. I think, you begin to see Fox and others innovate on redefining what a pod is, if that's a fast break, if that's making a one of one ad insertion, a one of two, shortening the commercial time, bringing the user back to content quicker. If it's doing stuff before the show starts in what we call more of an absolute A and showing a pre-roll before uninterrupted content. We see a lot of interactivity where you can now really engage with creative. You can actually make purchases. You can send coupons and savings codes to your phone. The opportunities are really endless with, I think, the way you can reimagine the pod and that being from a structure standpoint, but also from what does the break look like and how do I get to interact with it via my phone, via my connected device or my smart remote. And it's really exciting to see what is possible on the glass, right? All of these TVs now are the biggest screens in our homes. They're connected to the internet. And, I think we're going to see people test and try different things with overlays and lower thirds, different prompts, things that really speak directly to you, whether that's based on geography or based on audience. And it's a really exciting time that you can reimagine these things. You can get creative. You can work strategically with clients to find out what they want the interruption to look like and what makes sense for really that great content to have an ad break that doesn't feel like an ad break, right? I think it's something we've talked about for years, but now we really have not only the screen and the content, but really the mechanics and the technology behind it to truly do things differently.
Dan, so we've been speaking about national addressability for a long time, you and I and many of us in our industry. Where does that stand, and what's Fox doing, and what's the state of it, and maybe the roadmap for this year?
No, absolutely. I think we pulled off some successful tests at the end of Q4, both for ourselves and for a couple clients, where we've looked to streamline the process of what is signaling a household as tuned into our linear feed, viewing either on a Vizio smart TV or a Dish satellite home, and really lining up those creative breaks to serve an alternative creative to a household that may be in target for that client. So it's addressable in the sense that we're optimizing the creative to the audience characteristics of that home on the end of that television or that cable subscription, but everybody is still seeing the same brand creative at that unit in time, which is exciting, because I think you can marry the best of both worlds. Is you get this branding moment of reach and scale of broadcast television with the ability to unlock specific targets to receive a different creative or call to action that we hope is more meaningful and drives a greater level of ROI on that call to action.
So Dan, what are your hopes for this year in terms of other devices being available, other OEMs cooperating, and also the interest of advertisers? Like how do you hope this thing develops this year?
I mean, in a few ways. You touched on a couple. I hope that more TVs enable the standards and the specs and adopt the ability to switch the creative out on the glass. I hope more MVPDs enter the space. I think there's several different initiatives that are underway with Vizio's project or a company called AdCuratio working with Dish. You hear a little bit about the unaddressable Comcast enablement piece. And again, all I think are working toward the same goal. I hope that there's better collaboration across the groups and we can bring together a lot of the progress that's made collectively. The old saying that the rising tide will raise this opportunity. I think that has to happen. The footprint grows of where we can deploy and deliver this. And with that, advertiser interest will continue to grow. I think we've had a lot of great conversations of big brands that have always historically worked with Fox, allowing them to use data and targeting in different ways. And certainly a lot of those big parent companies that have multiple brands underneath them, or specific clients that have different calls to action or a creative rotation. It really makes sense to have this capability as a part of those campaigns with Fox.